we get back to England, and Label put us up in this hotel, which I was once again not used to. We're at this really fancy hotel. I've got girls coming by, knocking on the door all hours of the night. We're there for 3 or 4 days, and fanciest place I'd ever been into before was like a Motel 6 maybe, and got this nice place like right in downtown Nottingham, and the show was the next day, like the big download festival, which I was kind of nervous about because I don't think I've ever even seen that many people, let alone be on stage in front of that many people. We get there and starting to get a little nervous right before we went on. They showed the piercing of Matt's back on the jumbotron above the stage. I just heard this huge cheer go up, and after that, all the nervousness went away. I was just ready to go out and kill.
Put your fist up in the air! Come on! Now everybody scream! One of the many words will pick up inside. Big in the power you believe. I'll take your friendship for all that you need.
And we're playing, and we were at one point, I was so excited just to be there that during one point in the song, I run back to Kirk, and I'm just yelling at him over the noise. It's can you believe this is actually happening to us? We finish the show and go up to take a bow at the front of the stage in front of 40,000 people, and they almost had to drag me away because I just did not want to leave that stage. And I was thinking on the way back to the dressing room, it's wow, I'm this fucking jackass from Indiana, but what just happened to me is what I've pretty much been waiting to happen since I was 7 or 8 years old. Always wanted to do, and I finally achieved that, and it was fucking amazing.
Dirt as a person was just so much fun to be around and an amazing guy to be on the road with. Always laughing, always joking around, always had a smile on his face.
Dirt is a showman. He is born for rock and roll. This is what this guy was made for. He's the real deal.
He always seemed to be happy, maybe 90% of the time, maybe 95. It was an ongoing joke for years that he was like my Ed McMahon, because he would laugh at all my stupid jokes.
You connect immediately with Dirt. There was no, if there was something in common, you immediately feel like you met your long lost brother.
I always called him the gentle giant because he was a big boy, but always had a smile underneath the makeup and, the beard and everything, because he was always sweet, always happy.
So I'm being introduced to Dirt, and I'm thinking the whole time he really looks familiar. I don't have a great mind for faces, but something about him really struck me as familiar. Talking about his band and how they're going to be playing shows, and I kind of just kept quiet, thinking, why do I know this guy's face? Why do I know this guy's face? And finally, I was just like, dude, you got to tell me. What band are you in? And he said Society One. I was like, no freaking way. I love Society One. And he just looked at me and he's like, nah, whatever. So I started singing the song I Love Her. to him, and he just was floored. Just like the look on his face, he could not believe it. And I couldn't believe it because I had posters of this guy on my wall as a teenager.
Despite him being and looking so scary, everybody that met him liked him. His laugh and his energy was infective. It didn't matter once you actually talked to him what he looked like.
He's a nice guy.
You know, looking back on it, I kind of think, how did I not know? How did I not recognize him? But he really had these two different parts. He had Dirt, you know, the behemoth on stage that used his bass to call thunder at his will to scare us out in the crowd. And he had DV. It was like his sweet teddy bear self.
He was just a blast to be around, man. Always very enthusiastic about playing, the love for music, the love for metal. And, you know, we were Kiss fans, so we always had that in common.
I first realized that I wanted to be in a band when I was about 6 years old. When I got Kiss's Dynasty record for Christmas, or I saw them on TV or something, it was over with after that.
Dirt and I were such huge Kiss nerds that, I mean, we studied everything about them. They have this kind of signature move that they've been doing since the very beginning, since '74, where the three of them, Gene, Paul, and Ace, would get up in the front of the stage during Deuce, during their opening song Deuce, and they would kind of do this, like, you know, back and forth, left and right thing. And Dirt and I actually talked about that and doing it, and we used to do that at our gigs. And it was funny because Matt never knew anything about it. It was just Dirt and I would break into, you know, we knew when to do it. So it was kind of worked out between Dirt and I. That was a Kiss signature move that we just kind of, you know, took ourselves.
We went to the Rio Hotel, and that's where they had the Kiss kind of like little museum area. And I remember walking around there with Dirt, and it was like, that's when you actually, for me personally, it was like, that was the first time where I saw like Dirt really, really, really loves Kiss. And it was kind of a shock to me, but it was awesome to see him like be in that moment and just be happy and, you know, looking at stuff, that all the Kiss memorabilia that was there.
I grew up in a small town in Indiana. Just a bunch of farmers and jocks, and I didn't fit in anywhere, which is probably why I learned how to play guitar.
He had a really great sense of rhythm. I mean, you just wouldn't necessarily really expect that about him, but he knew how to get into whatever groove we were attempting.
He was the guy that was always, like, you know, on the phone with me or messaging me, wanting to make sure that he had the songs down.
He really was talented as a musician. He was a great performer, but he was talented as a musician, and he could play guitar. Not a lot of people know that. And he could play guitar very well. He did all the background vocals live. He did all the big yells. And he also did all like the soft harmony singings. He would pull all those live, and as long as his monitors were up, he was always dead on. And he also had a really interesting knack and ear to be able to get a really cool bass tone. He really understood bass tone.
His sound, his tone was one of those things that as a drummer, it hits you right here. And it's just amazing. You immediately feel the power. Just his tone makes you a better musician in my opinion as a drummer.
very meticulous with that, always on top of it and just making sure that everything was how it was on the record or on the EP or the songs that we were writing and working on. So very good, disciplined musician.
Well, I don't know if you know this or not about me, but I'm a musical genius.
Really?
Yeah, that's true. Preston was on tour with Primer 55, and I went to see him when they were in town. He had told me he was filling in for this other band who lost their drummer at the beginning of the tour. It was Society One. I checked out their set. I was blown away by the amount of energy and the showmanship they put into it, which is kind of what I've always been into, bands like Alice Cooper and Kiss. And stuff, a lot of theatrics and lots of stuff to watch as well as, listening to the music, which I was always kind of into, and they brought that. That was actually the first time I met Zane. Was backstage at that show. The motherfucker was hitting on my girlfriend. Luckily, Preston talked me out of kicking his ass because, here a couple years later, I ended up joining the band, so that was pretty good. I probably wouldn't have passed the audition if he recognized me from kicking his ass in Chicago.
I think of Dirt like an instant rock star. That's like the first thing that comes to my mind, because a lot of people don't know he came out to LA from Indiana, and he was only out there, man, for maybe 7 months, 8 months, and then he got into Society One.
Moved out to LA with a bag of clothes, 2 guitars, and like $500, and never looked back. After being out here for about 8 months, I got a call from Preston, who was actually a member of Society One now, and said that their bass player was leaving. They had this big suspension show coming up, and wanted to know if I'd come down and audition. I ended up getting the gig, and immediately called my mom, told her what was going on, and she was pretty excited about it too.
Good way to get all this stuff out. I mean, I was pretty miserable before I joined this band because I didn't have like an avenue to get it all out of my system, and just kind of get that pissed off every night for an hour on stage, and I'm actually a lot more well-adjusted now.
I was in. So Matt asked if I wanted to actually come out and do the last song at the suspension show to kind of introduce me, and I thought it was a great idea. It was really cool.
And the moment that he walked out on stage, he just commanded this presence, and people just instantly gravitated towards him.
Please, everybody, put your hands together for Dirt. Now listen, if you don't clap for this guy after the show, he's gonna come out and kill you. Good luck.
I was really happy to be a part of that. It was insane, and it's a long way from the fucking cornfields in Indiana.
And it seemed like that spot was being held just for him. And that's really crazy to say, because he had to come after the late, great Paul Raven. And, Paul, a legend, with just in and of himself. I mean, and, all the Prong, Ministry, Zilch, Killing Joke. And Dirt having to kind of fill in those shoes, like that's a big deal. And he did it.
Having a conversation with the late, great Paul Raven, and he was just going on and on about Dirt, how much he loved Dirt, and watching him perform. And that coming from Paul Raven says a lot.
He almost seemed like a monster on stage, He had this presence. He kept that through all the years.
So I've seen Dirt perform a lot of Society One shows over the years. And something that always really struck me about him is that he went out on stage and he was this character. He was this fucking behemoth creature up there, like just trying to terrify the villagers.
He loved the stage. He loved to perform. That was his home. His home was the stage.
He would just walk out on stage and you couldn't take your eyes off of him. He was just this massive dude up there playing the bass.
you could tell that it's Dirt playing. Like nobody sounded like Dirt. The way he hit the strings, the way he played with attitude, the way he moved on stage, like you knew it was Dirt. Dirt had his own signature, and it was nobody can copy that shit. Nobody can even come close to have his sound or anything like that.
I always thought of him as kind of a Gene Simmons on steroids. Honestly, I mean, Gene Simmons was, amazing, his whole persona, everything. But Dirt, like, took it to like an aggressive, more intense level.
For me, I always had to make sure that I did sort of my thing on my side while letting him do his thing, if that makes any sense. I always wanted him to make sure he had his space around him, and I was always conscious of that.
So the first time when we actually were on stage together, it was like, and you can actually feel the subs. It's twice as much compared to actual rehearsals. And it's just like you have this power and this big guy, and it's just... It's just extremely, extremely powerful and extremely amazing experience.
You kind of had to be aware of where he was because he was so big. And I remember one of the first times that I bumped into him on stage, I actually fell over because I bounced off him and then I fell over. So you definitely had to give him his room. And it wasn't like he said, "Oh, give me room, watch out for me." He would just be getting into it. But you absolutely had to be aware of where he was so you didn't get run over and end up flat on your face. He almost took my eye out one night. True story. It was absolutely frightening.
After only being in the band for a couple weeks, you get a call from Matt. Says I need to get my passport because we're heading to Europe to do a tour over there. I've never even been on an airplane before,
We open the movie on Dirt. Dirt, tell us, where are we?
LAX.
And guess what you've never done before?
I've never flown. Never. They've yet to build a plane big enough. Yeah. They now have the technology to get Dirt airborne. They think so anyway. We're trying it out.
And there I am on a fucking airplane.
Hey, Dirt, you see that right there?
What's that?
That's gonna be 10 hours.
For like 12 fucking hours on the way to Europe to play over there. And I was almost too overwhelmed to even be excited about it.
Dirt, it's time for the food, the in-flight service. Take down your tray, dude.
I've not slept. I've been on a plane for 12 hours. And up to this point, I've only toured in like little vans and shit. We walk out of the airport and there's this huge double-decker tour bus to pick us up.
We're so money. Fucking A, dude. From the coconut teaser to this.
So I got pretty excited about that, first tour on a bus. And then we get on the bus. I'm thinking I can finally chill, get some sleep maybe. But no, it turns out our first show was that night. I was kind of excited, it was a place that I'd been reading about before, a lot of my favorite bands had played there before. Plus I'm in England for the first time. So I walk around to the front of the venue, I just want, see our name up on the marquee, it was kind of a special thing. And I walk over there and get mobbed by a group of kids who want my autograph. And I was just, I didn't know even how to act. I almost said no. Because I'm just some, putz from Indiana, and I hadn't been in LA maybe 8-9 months. Been in the band for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden there's all these kids from fucking England who want me to sign their tits and shit. It was incredible.
He was getting a lot of attention from women, and I think, I don't know, maybe he was a little shocked and surprised by it early on. But I remember being, especially out in Europe, being in places and, he had his little group of girls that would follow him. And after gigs, he was like hanging out with all these girls that wanted to hang out with him. And it was always a trip because it always struck me like he was a little shocked and surprised by it.
We were playing a show somewhere in the Midwest, and afterwards, this girl came up to the merch booth and asked me to sign her boobs.
But he seemed to sort of be warming up to that fact that, that's what was happening to him and what was going to continue to happen to him. But
Maybe because he was big and he liked metal or whatever, a lot of girls didn't like him or pay a lot of attention to him. But that absolutely changed when he got into the band. I mean, he definitely had his own thing going on as far as specific women and fans and little fan groups and stuff that really adored him and sought after him. And it seemed to kind of surprise him.
I was pretty excited about it. I'd look over at Matt and he's like this is just old hat. This happens all the time, but not to me, it doesn't.
I think every single girl that were around him basically loved him in a way or somehow, because it was his laugh, it was his smile, and I think it was also his big ass fucking hugs. I mean, I think every woman that he ever hugged felt like, holy shit, this is the most secure I've ever felt in my life.
He'd just step off that stage and put you into like this huge hug. And it was so weird because I remember being just in awe of like this demonic guy up there and knowing what a sweetheart he was. And he'd just like grab you up in this hug and you'd totally forget what he had just been doing. And I remember thinking at a Viper Room show, he's hugging me.
he loved having a good time, man. And it was always, I think about those times on the road, close to 20 years ago, and being out in Europe and just the fun that we had before, during, after the shows.
Beer and fire. Yeah. Why did we push farther?
Touring with Dirt was just, it was always just crazy because, he was always laughing. He was always having a good time. But I don't drink. And in the early days when Sin was in the band, Sin doesn't drink either. But Dirt drinks. Dirt drinks a lot when he wants to, and he smokes. He would go for it.
It was insane.
Where are we off to next, Dirt?
I have no idea.
What up?
How was your birthday?
Fucking kicked ass. Best birthday ever. Did you walk all the way around? Yeah. I was like, fucking crazy, man. All of a sudden, it's like, what the fuck?
Dirt? Drinking and fighting and fucking.
And this is just the kind of stuff that I needed to get used to, I guess.
Yeah, he definitely loved to drink.
He really lived that aspect of the rock and roll dream to its absolute fullest.
Halfway through that tour, we found out that we're up for another tour in America with Orgy. And we pretty much, had to get off the plane and get straight back on the road. One thing in particular that stands out from that first Orgy tour, we were rolling through and we played a show in Chicago, which is near where I grew up. So my whole family came out to the show, which was actually the first time I'd seen them since I moved to LA. So they all come to the show. We're playing this House of Blues. There's 1,500 people there. It's like one of the better shows of the tour. And it was pretty cool, because my family had never seen me play in front of that many people before. It's usually 50 to 100 people at some fucking shitty bar. So they were pretty excited about that. They were like, my little brother was just blown away, We get off the road and, thinking, okay, now this is where everything gets back to normal, I go back to work, whatever. And I think maybe a week went by before Matt called and said, "Hey, we're starting pre-production for the record. So learn these songs." So spent the next 3 weeks in pre-production and bam, right back into the studio.
You know, Dirt in the studio was, you know, he loved it because it was all part of the rock and roll dream.
Recording with Dirt was kind of actually, that's the one time when Dirt actually kind of changes. And he's extremely pro. He approaches recording as a complete, full professional level. There is no fucking around. I mean, there is joking, but the joking is after you're done with your take.
BS on your mind. You're gay.
For real?
The butt all the time.
That's good. That's actually really good. I like that. We might use that at some
Find a
point.
copy of that. It's fucking hilarious.
I think you had some good musical projects. Whoa, look at that. Ready. Is that a big, like, red ding-dong in there, dude? Oh, I thought it was a box.
Ding dong.
It's a direct box.
Oh, yeah.
Direct in your ass.
Direct, right? Wade's getting it.
But when you're inside the studio, there is no little, I fucked up and kind of jokey or whatever. No, he would literally fucking tear your fucking head off.
You know that goes to halftime right there, yeah?
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, that was the third time.
One thing with Dirt was he's just very professional about things that mean a lot to him. He was the most professional when it comes to that.
A bunch of basses, dude. You're like a bass god.
I got more over there.
Really? You're big.
Great.
Yay, Dirt! Yeah, good luck with that.
Flubs.
Yeah.
But then he's gonna slow it down and find out how bad it really sucked.
Yeah. It's freezing in here.
I don't like fake heat. It drives me out.
Oh, yeah? You know, they got lube for that.
You ready?
Yep.
And the way he played was just so awesome. It was that was with so much passion, and you knew that you're gonna have a good take with him all the time.
Like making my first real record, and you know, just huge fucking studio with like all these gold platinum records on the walls. It was amazing.
And this guy, I got a story about him. Why don't we need to tell it? We're gonna see it later in the DVD.
Yes,
we went
we
to
are.
his birthday and
Oh, yeah. Hey, now.
That just kind of flew by, and then next thing you know, we're starting rehearsals for the next tour.
So we had just gone out of the studio and we'd started rehearsing when all of a sudden we get invited to attend the record release party for Gene Simmons. He was releasing his Asshole CD, and I was surprised, to get the invite. I think it was, all the attention that we'd been getting on MTV, on VH1, and we got invited to the Key Club down in Hollywood, and we attended. It was a huge thing for Dirt and myself, being such huge Kiss fans. So we end up down in the VIP area at the Key Club, which is where Gene was, and it was just filled with, porn stars, musicians, talk show hosts, celebrities, like A-list celebrities were there, and everyone's just kind of like, hanging out, milling around down there. Gene's doing interviews, and the whole time, Dirt and I are just kind of like keeping an eye on Gene, trying to get, a spot for us to kind of go up to him and see if we could talk with him. And it happened. Dirt went up to him. He got to talk with him, took some pictures with him. And then I went up to him and got to take some pictures and hang out with him for a bit. It was amazing. It's something I'll never forget. Never in a million years, Dirt and I would talk about, man, do you think we'd ever get to meet Kiss or do anything with the guys in Kiss? And lo and behold, here we were in the VIP area with Gene Simmons, one of my heroes and definitely one of Dirt's heroes.
One of the times I came to see him, I was kind of trying to show off a little bit maybe, and I brought him a picture of me with Gene Simmons. And Gene was Dirt's like hero. Like Kiss was the subject of many conversations we had, and I was so proud of myself. I had my picture of me with Gene Simmons when I was a teenager, and, you know, silly me thinking that I've got this great story about Gene Simmons. And Dirt's like, we were invited personally to a party. Gene was there, and, you know, he and Sin both got to meet Gene, and he was really excited about that. And I'm glad that he had this great experience with his hero.
And if that Gene thing wasn't enough, Dirt gets endorsed by Silvertone, and lo and behold, Paul Stanley is also endorsed by Silvertone. And at one of the NAMM conventions, we got to take some pictures there with Paul. Paul was doing a signing. I mean, just amazing shit, you know, stuff that as kids we dreamed about, you know, now being endorsed by the same company as our heroes. So that was pretty awesome for Dirt.
We get a call to go on tour with Paradise Lost over in Europe, which has been one of my favorite bands since high school. Once again, back on a fucking plane, and tour Europe, and I really had a great time. I thought it was amazing.
The main part when we got really, really connected is we started talking about a band called Paradise Lost, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I toured with them," and that's when I was like, "What?" Because that was one of my favorite bands. When he said like I toured with them, I just was on the floor. I was like, "What the fuck? No way!" At that moment, we basically became best buddies. At that point, he was basically somebody I looked up to.
And then our tour manager gets a call from our label, or our agent rather, and says we got confirmed for the main stage at the Download Festival in England. And you know, we all really sort of perked up at that, because we obviously all knew about that since we were kids, you know, when they had the Monsters of Rock festivals and stuff over there. Knew it was going to be huge, so really, really excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that blows my mind about it is the fact that like he'd only been in the band for 2 years at that point. You know, and here he is playing 40, 50,000 people, you know, making rock history as I'm suspending and stuff. I almost got him back though at that show, because there was a point when I was being swung around and I swung over his head, and because he's so tall, I almost kicked him right in the face with my foot, but I saw it at the last minute and actually lifted my leg before I got him. But in retrospect, I should have kicked him in the face to get him back for those times on stage that he knocked me over.
So one of our conversations that we had led into a confession that as a teenager, I had this shitty bootleg VHS, a copy of, I don't even know, a handy cam or something at Download. And as a teenager, that was like, I'd go over to people's houses and I'd take this VHS with me and it'd be like, oh my God, you guys, this band, this is so awesome. Like, look at the stuff they're doing. I remember very clearly his reaction to my story about the VHS. He just looked at me and after a second goes, so that's why you're so fucked up. It made me giggle because the fetishism of Society 1, it did have a lot to do with like my development as a teenager and like my look and my delving into the whole industrial world. Him saying it so matter of fact, like it fucking makes sense why you're such a fuck up. It got me, and it will always get me. It will always get me that he thought it was funny that maybe he had a little part to do with who I had become as an adult.
The really interesting thing about being in a band with Dirt for so long is that the first couple of years were obviously the most insane. It's what everybody knows about us. It's when we were in all the magazines and on MTV and did Download and the whole bit.
Toured the world, you know. I've played some of the biggest shows, you know, ever, you know, just huge festival crowds, and you know, been on MTV and all this amazing stuff that we've accomplished, you know, breaking the suspension records and all that.
A lot of people think that like everything ended after that was like the end of the band until, you know, maybe later then he went and got into Three-Headed Snake. But that's not really what happened. The insanity kept going. It obviously wasn't at the level that it was the first couple of years, but a lot of things happened in that time.
Feels good, man. Ready to fucking rock some shit.
After Download, we did the NAMM show.
Every musician is there, all the music companies are there, and here's Dirt, you know, with his Download performance in front of, how many people did we play in front of at Download? Like 40,000 or some shit like that? Being flashed on these huge screens while we're doing an acoustic set at this guitar booth that we were endorsed by.
Really cool, you know, it was a good crowd, lots of kids there, you know, that, you know, came just to see us.
Couple months after that, 2006, 666, we get contacted by the people in the Omen movie. And they want us to be involved in this FX special on the television, and it included the DVD, and they want us to play a show, and they present us with this cake and have all these people out in the front with robes and signs, and you know, and he loved horror movies. You know, this was like a dream come true for him to be part of the Omen remake. Us going to really great studios wasn't over after the Download era of the band. I mean, the next record we did, we went back into Energy Studios that had everybody from Linkin Park to Korn to Papa Roach to, I think the Rolling Stones had been in there.
Thumbs up, huh? Are you, can you tell the fans out there anything about what's been going on?
Well, been sucking each other off a lot, you know.
You missed that one, Reagan. Yeah.
We were right back in there with our producer, Wade Norton.
And we have.
Oh, you're gonna do
Mr.
it.
Wade Norton.
Wade, you're back.
Nothing to see but me, so put your dicks away.
We actually did a record later that ended up being half of a collection of lies, where Raymond Herrera, the drummer from Fear Factory, was actually producing the records.
You know, we're right now working on the Society One project. And how that came up was because I've known Matt over the years, just off and on through our circle of friends. And he showed me a little bit of the new music, and I thought it was really killer.
The parties never stopped. After shows, if we were in town, we used to have this mansion up in the hills, and we would go have parties there.
There's this party one time we were doing a shoot at this huge mansion, and everybody's just like drinking and I don't know, rolling around, and you know, we're having photos taken, and at some point in the night somebody grabbed the pizza boy and brought him in on it.
We just started drinking everything possible.
I had never been to a party that was like that before. I just remember, fuck, these guys are like, this is legit. Like, this is Rockstar. This is the Hollywood party that I always kind of wanted to get invited to.
And I remember I almost got a concussion because I jumped into the hot tub and I slipped backwards and just fucked the back of my head up.
There's a surreal moment where I kind of thought about it, realizing that, you know, I've got my ass in this guy's face. Had my toes in his face, pouring whiskey down his beard, and I used to have him on my wall as a teenager. Posters, you know, I used to watch the VHS of performances obsessively, and here he was, you know, one of my best friends, and it just totally comfortable, having fun.
Jordan and Dirt would party until the morning, and then they'd sit out on the deck and watch the sun come up overlooking the valley because it was up in the hills.
Yeah, there was. I have a video that was basically taken. I think it was probably 9 o'clock in the morning of me and Dirt. We were sitting outside. It's a video where basically I'm telling Dirt that I love him, and then he tells me that he loves me too. Then I ask him, "Do you love me more than Taco Bell?" And his answer is, "Fuck no."
I'm being queer, but you know I love you, right?
Dude, I love you more than...
More than Taco Bell? No.
Come on, don't be cool.
And this is after the show. I guess this is basically at this point, it's about 16 hours after. It's just a long, awesome fucking night.
True story, one gig that we had was on the night before Christmas Eve, and we went back to the house and had a massive party.
And it was basically a barrage of buddies.
And then Dirt and Jordan partied all night long.
I mean, that whole entire night was pretty funny. It was just basically complete debauchery at one point. Basically just letting loose and just doing whatever the fuck you want.
Come the next morning, my family comes over to celebrate Christmas. Dirt stays in the room, in one of the rooms in the house, and sleeps all the way through Christmas Eve and then gets up for Christmas the next day. That's how hard they went and how much he continued to party and have a good time.
Dirt, do you concur?
I concur.
And this wasn't just in the beginning. I mean, he went all the way up until the end of being in Society One. And we were still doing Vegas at as late as 2018.
And that's the best thing, because Society One's back and they're in Vegas.
Him and Jordan would just go off there. I mean, they would go to burrito eating contests and get balloons, and they would be drinking all night long, and they had women in the hotel room.
It wasn't necessarily just the show, it was the whole entire experience was absolutely amazing, because it was basically 2.5 days of just absolutely having fun.
We were still opening up for big bands. I mean, we opened up for Dope. We opened up for Westfield Massacre. We were on the road opening up for shows for Doyle, 2 separate occasions. We were on the last Wayne Static show ever in America. We opened that show opening for Dope and Wayne Static.
I would hear of the gigs that the band was getting, and I was very happy that he was out there doing these shows with some of the bands. I mean, the Doyle shows and Dope and Static shows. I mean, he loved these bands, so it was always awesome, and I was always very happy to hear that he was out there doing these gigs.
Not only were we doing our own shows and touring and stuff like that regionally, we were also getting on pretty big shows with really decent bands. Fun times were still happening. On top of the Halloween shows and all that, like we would even do birthday shows. I had my 40th birthday show at the Viper Room. The Viper Room closed down, and we did a radio show for a television series, like a private acoustic thing. And before we actually had a big show that night.
I'm half Polish.
So here's. Oh, you are? Okay, I thought I knew. Actually, we had a Polish cheer on the show, but it wasn't the wrong
Polish chair?
language. Cheer. We say
I
anyway.
thought I was sitting in the wrong chair.
You're sitting in the right chair.
Dirt was right there next to me, and they brought out a cake and the whole bit.
So you all know why we're here tonight, right? Holy shit, look at this. Celebrating our birth, my BFF.
We eventually signed a new deal with a small label to put out Rise from the Dead.
DSN Music is proud to announce the return of the legendary industrial metal group Society One with their new release, Rise from the Dead.
Exciting stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. And when we signed the deal, we went to the owner's $13 million Malibu mansion right on the beach. And, we took pictures with all like the money falling and the booze and the whole bit.
And it was a pretty awesome day, because I remember we stopped at a little liquor store and just bought a bunch of, little liquor.
It was a photo shoot, but still, a lot of the time those photo shoots turned into like real things. So it ended up being just another great day that we got to spend in this $13 million mansion out on the deck looking over the beach, just having a good time, having a laugh and just getting ready for whatever came next. And the interesting thing about it is what came next was I think we did 10 videos for that album.
Dirt asked me if I would be interested in being in a Society One music video. And, I tried to play it cool. I'm like, yeah, that would, that seems like it would be cool. But really on the inside, I'm like, oh my I remember being so nervous, and getting there and seeing Dirt, and he would like pick me up and shake me a little bit every time he saw me. And he did this at this music video shoot when I came, just like the first thing when I came in through the doors, and it just like melted all of that nervousness away.
On fire, souls on fire. You could wish that you died.
And I think the one that stands out the most is like when we did 2 videos in one night. That day, I think it was like almost 18 fucking hours. After we were done doing our performance stuff, basically we had all the extras do theirs. So meanwhile, while the extras are doing theirs, and us knowing that we're gonna record another video, we just basically started drinking, me and him. And the second video that we shot was actually an acoustic song. So I mean, it was just the acoustic song is basically, we got through it, but I mean, I think when we're shooting that, me and him are basically already about 12 beers in each. It's just trying to keep it together and not lose our shit.
Your soul has been found. Your soul has been found.
A lot of people don't realize this, but at one point we even did a live performance on Dave Navarro's Mania TV. He used to have a live show, and we got asked to go down there to actually perform live on the show.
Back in 2008, I was doing an interview with Society One on my then internet TV show called Spread TV. Society One came, they did a performance. Of course, I pulled up a chair to check it out. Been friends with Matt a long time. Matt's an incredible frontman. And as incredible of a frontman Matt is, it was nearly impossible to not stare at Dirt, because his commanding presence on stage and the energy that he put forth as if it was the last show he was ever gonna do was pretty remarkable. I really feel honored and fortunate to have seen Society One at that time.
We did a bunch of radio shows and interviews.
Say one thing, Dirt. One thing. Okay. How you did it? Our broadcast. Well.
Live acoustic things on the radio. All those kinds of things. I mean, all of that just never stopped. We just kept going and going and going.
You got a new video out? Can you tell me about it?
Joe, you want to say anything? It's a video. It's moving pictures. It's pretty rad.
The highlight was always just to hang out after the show. Just hanging out with Dirt, laughing, drinking, just talking shit to each other, just making fun of each other, or even if we like made a mistake or something like that, and, you know, just curse each other out for like 5 minutes after that hug, drink and laugh. that was always the highlight.
We felt like rock stars most of the time. Don't get me wrong, like all this stuff was maybe 30 or 40% of the time, and then we had our, you know, our other lives going on. Yeah, you know, it's just, Dirt and I were partners, I mean, for 15 years.
But Dirt has actually stuck around the whole time. He never went anywhere.
Yep.
You know, everything, the shirt we worked on together. I photographed it, he did the artwork, you know, the albums, the songwriting, the flyers, the singing. You know, we worked on everything together. With artists, like some guys are good at this and then not that or whatever. He really was a true artist. I mean, he not only was a musician, but he was a great tattoo artist, and he actually became pretty famous at tattooing.
I spent well over 100 hours in Dirt's tattoo chair. We had so many sessions where I would come in the afternoon, he'd draw for me, I get tattooed, and we just hang out, you know, stop and have a smoke and have a taco, hang out and talk and tattoo some more. Sometimes I was there until, you know, the sun was coming up out on Hollywood Boulevard.
Knew a lot about his tattooing and stuff. My wife is a tattoo artist. She knew him through the tattoo industry.
He tattooed Kelly Clarkson from American Idol. He tattooed Steve-O. At one point, he tattooed Britney Spears. I turned on the TV one night, and he's on TMZ. And he's tattooing Britney Spears and walking her out to her car.
I kept going back, and I kept going back, and I kept going back. There was something really special about being in Dirt's chair. And it wasn't just about friendship, and it wasn't about conversation, and it wasn't about needing to get tattooed. It was about his artistry and my need to have him leave his mark on me. And we spent many, many, many hours kind of fulfilling this artful vision together.
Yeah, I thought he did great work, especially in the more recent designs that he was doing. He would show me, send me stuff, and I was always very impressed.
I've got probably 90 hours on my back alone, all H.P. Lovecraft tattoos, and I think Dirt was really into that because he was a horror fan. And we could actually have conversations about the characters and the stories and what they meant. Horror was like a big part of, I don't want to say who he was, but like his personality that he put out there. You know, he's super into Frankenstein and other monsters like that. But he was really passionate about his art coming through and being genuine and quality. And he really wanted to make sure that what he left on me was knowledgeable. We both went back and read H.P. Lovecraft stories to make sure that the characters are being portrayed properly. And it was just really cool that he put that much dedication into what he was doing.
One thing that a lot of people don't realize is that there was a series made, a video series, where Dirt was a tattoo artist, the main tattoo artist, where girls would come to the shop and asked to be tattooed, but be tattooed naked. Yes, that's a real thing. Yes, we have footage and pictures to prove it.
So Scarlett wanted a diamond design, and we talked about it a little bit, and I kind of got an idea in my head. While I was drawing the design out, you know, it was kind of obvious that the girls were pretty friendly with each other, and you know, they were pretty into each other, which is kind of distracting for me, but you know, I'm a trained professional. We'll try this at home.
If he wasn't already famous enough from all the other things that he did in tattooing, I mean, this was a new level of notoriety now as far as his tattoo persona was concerned.
You know what?
What?
I've always wanted to do this, and
What's that?
since I've always wanted to get naked and do this, you think that there's any way we could do that?
That's fine.
Are you sure?
Sure.
You rock! I love you!
He also got known locally, you know, around Hollywood for being, you know, kind of a legend, kind of the big man down on Hollywood Boulevard, because that's where his shop, where he ended up like for 7 or 8 years. He really had that whole separate thing going. I mean, he was the bass player in Society One, but then he also had this really legitimate tattoo career going on where he was very respected and did a lot of really interesting things.
I
love my job.
Another thing that nobody's going to believe me about, so I'm glad that I have actual pictures of this, is that when Wayne Static left Static X, there were rumors flying around that he was going to try to get his wife, Tara Ray, to be the bass player in his solo project. I don't know whether or not they were true or not, but those may have been started because, believe it or not, Dirt was the first person to teach Tara how to try to play bass. And I have pictures of them in that lesson.
I only ever had one lesson, so I'm just going to show that to you. That's all right. You're doing it better than I did the first time.
A lot of people don't know this. I wrote a book. He edited the first draft before it went off to the actual book editor. He would read my chapters after I wrote them, and then he'd edit them for me. And he was very intelligent. He knew his stuff, and I am incredibly grateful. I don't think without him, the book would have been done. Dirt was also a painter. He did a little photography.
I do all the artwork for the band, like all the album covers and flyers and posters and shit like that.
And Photoshop skills.
Yeah, Photoshop skills. And that's pretty much all I do. I drink beer. That's pretty helpful.
I mean, the guy was really just an incredibly well-rounded individual artistically.
After Society One, I went into the Revolting Cocks for a little bit for a tour, and then I was asked to join Ministry. So I started working on the Ministry album. After doing that since 2006, I believe, I put together a project called Three-Headed Snake. And at the time, it was just my singer and I just doing some songs just for fun. It really wasn't meant to go any further than that. But I decided to put a band together, and I kind of put the word out there.
And then I immediately thought of DB, my old bassist from Society One.
I was really happy when he got into Three-Headed Snake. As much fun and as much as we had done in Society One since our really big years, I wasn't able to really get it over that hump.
What's up? How are you?
So I know that a lot of people probably think, hey, where's all the debauchery? Where's all the craziness? Well, things are a little bit different now these days in terms of the Society One show. I mean, we're a little older now, a little more mature. Look at all the hearts you get, man. Look at how much people love you. Look at that. You're so loved. It's amazing. What has made you stick around for so long in this project when you can attest to the fact that I am so disliked on so many levels around the world?
You're so pretty, man. He's a pretty man. I like being around him.
Where's Dirt? There he is. Yeah, look at him.
And you feel pretty good.
Dirt, say something to the people out there.
Something to the people out there. As soon as this camera's off, I'm fucking decking this motherfucker.
And I knew that when he got into Three-Headed Snake, there was going to be an opportunity for him to really relive some of that. And I felt that he deserved it.
And there he is, the man, the myth, the legend, the one that everybody loves. Now in two bands.
So we shot the video for a song called Wisdom Screams. It was awesome to have Dirt, here, and the whole band. That was really the first time that all the members were in the same room at the same time. And it was a great experience. It was awesome that, we got to have Matt direct that video.
When Sin called me up to do the video, Sin was very cool. Initially just said, hey, man, we're not signed yet. So we're just going to do something. Just, can you do anything? And I said, yeah. Don't worry about it. But I got on the phone, and I called up Dirt and I said, Dirt, for you, I'm pulling out all the stops on this video. I'm going to make this thing look like $1 million. We did. We got the big cameras, and the big lights.
It was really cool connecting kind of the three of us back again. To me, it was an amazing experience. Not only being with Dirt, being with Matt, and I don't know, we're always going to have that connection no matter where we're at and who we're playing with or where we're at in life. It was really awesome, and I know Dirt was really happy about that as well. So it was a great experience doing that video.
I did that for Dirt. I always would do a good job, but I really went above and beyond because I wanted him to have a really good opportunity with that band.
When we decided to do the EP for Three-Headed Snake, I had Dirt come to the studio. That's him. If you have that Three-Headed Snake EP, that's Dirt on those 3 songs.
I never seen him bummed. I never seen him upset. I never seen him like, life sucks, drugs have taken over me, or alcohol, or what, as you would see in Hollywood. Never saw him in a fight with a girlfriend or any kind of altercation with anybody. He was always there. And, hey, what's up, guys? Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? He can make the gritty monster face, but underneath that was always that smile. And he was a content musician in Hollywood, which is very hard to see in this town.
I think Dirt left Hollywood. Not to make it about me, because it really isn't. But I'm sure at that I'm sure at the point that he left, he was pretty damn tired of dealing with me.
You ready to do bass? You ready to do cock push-ups or one-handed push-ups? Let's do it, Dirk. Come on, let's have a contest. Oh yeah, come on, Max. Come on, take me on, dude. Take me on. DV Karloff over here. DV, I just mentioned your name and you got like 15 like. Look at all those things. Holy shit.
Holy shit.
I'm excited. What about you, Dirk?
I'm a little excited.
Just a little bit.
In my pants.
Definitely. Was it fixed, Jordan? I wasn't paying attention. I was trying to hump Dirk's face.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right.
Okay. Recording the bass for Black Level 6 was an absolute dream. It was a pleasure. Pleasure. We nearly killed each other on several occasions, but we got it done. And that's it. It's done.
We had worked together for 15 years at that point. There was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of stresses that last year in terms of 2018 as far as Society 1 is concerned. So I think he was pretty tired of that. But I think, more so, I really think it was really more about wanting to connect and go back home with his family.
Dirt got to see Kiss on their farewell tour. I actually believe that this is the last time Kiss is going to be around. I do. I know that they're doing some shows next year. They're making up some shows, actually. But when I saw that Dirt got to see them and he had made some kind of post or comment, about having something, not tearing up or having something in his eye, something to that effect. I knew what he was talking about and I knew how he felt. Kiss for Dirt and for myself, had a huge place in our upbringing and in why we're doing this and why we did music and why we pursued it. So I understood what he was saying. So I'm glad that he got to see them one last time back home in Indiana. So we were asked to do the Bloodstock festival in the UK. I know Dirt hadn't been back to Europe since we did Download Festival in 2005. So we were all very excited about it. Yeah, I had been to Europe, with ministry and stuff like that, and that was cool and all, but this was like my own kind of project, and I know Dirt was really happy about that and really excited about it. He flew into town. We rehearsed for like 2 days or something like that with the band. Flew to the UK, did the gig. We did press that day, and he was involved in all that stuff. So I was really happy that he was able to do that again, and that I was able to do that with him back overseas, in Europe.
You said it. Sing your toxins in my veins.
That was our first and only gig so far. And I'm glad that he was able to do that in front of a festival crowd. So, I'll always be very, very, very happy about that.
It must have meant so much to him because, it was his return, to that level. And so it was good to see that he was able to do that. I'm grateful to Sin for doing that, and giving him that opportunity in his life. I think it was really important, and I'm just glad that he got to experience that again.
Thank you so much, Bloodstock! We are Three-Headed Snake!
I talked to Dirt like 1 or 2 days before he passed away. We were messaging back and forth, and it was a rather long conversation. And I mean, the sense that I got is that he was just happy. I mean, he was really happy with his choices. I mean, he really, if you think about it, at that point in his life, he finally really had it all. I mean, he had Hate Song, which he loved, which was his like pure metal band. You know, he was in Three-Headed Snake. He was about to fly out and start another record with them. We still had this Black Level 6 album that he had played on that still has yet to be released. He obviously was, you know, there with his brother and his, you know, mother and sister and family and friends. He was happy. He seemed incredibly happy.
I mean, you couldn't help but love the guy, and to see that he passed on, very devastating.
Above everything, I think DV was an artist in everything that he did, and I'm thankful that we will have his art, his music, his tattoo work to remember him by. You know, he left this huge mark on the industrial world, on the metal world, on the tattoo world.
You know, he said to me, he goes, "Oh, you know, it's really cool. You know, I know it's not big time or anything. I don't know if he was expecting like for me to be not impressed by what he had achieved or the balance in his life or the life that he made for himself, but I let him know. I said, you know, man, I go, everything you just told me, I said, that is big time. You know, you won, you know, like you won."
The one thing that stands out for me personally about Dirt was the 10 years that I've known him has basically just been a complete gift. And it's just, he was like a big brother to me. And it's just, he was one of a kind. He is a one-off. There's never going to be anybody like him. Nobody will ever come close to how awesome and how amazing of a person he was.
When I heard the news that of his passing, I was really floored, and it really, really hit me hard. And I still feel it. You know, I do my best every day to just think about all the laughs that we had and all the great times that we had. But it really affected me. You know, I've had other friends pass away recently, but for some reason, Dirt's passing really hit me hard. I was like kind of not there for the first few days. I'm still, you know, I don't know that that'll ever go away, but I still feel that kind of like emptiness, you know. I try to not stay in that frame of mind. I try to stay positive, and I'm really, really glad I was able to meet this guy and play with him for, you know, all these years, these, you know, 2 amazing bands. I'm glad I got to tour with him. I'm glad I knew him. He was a really good dude. Loved his friends, loved his music, loved his drinking, loved having a good time. I'm glad he was able to do all the stuff that he did. But I mean, I miss him, and I'm gonna miss him. Like I tell all my friends that knew him, just think about all the great times that we had together, because I think that he will feel that, and he'll know that we're thinking about him. So, yeah.
I think Dirt had a good life. I think it was more than he probably imagined it would be. And I think that he pretty much accomplished everything that he wanted to do. But more importantly, he did it in a way only making friends and creating positivity and ultimately just being respected and loved by everybody that he came in contact with. I think that's ultimately has to be the greatest success of it all, because out of all of us, who can say that? It's very few people. I mean, he did it. I mean, accomplished what he wanted to, but still managed to have everybody love him. That's Dirt.
Do you have anything you would like to say to your fans?
Thank you. Unless you have about the record, then fuck you.
That's
But
pretty
no,
sweet.
you know, appreciate the fans because without them, you know, this wouldn't happen. We wouldn't be anybody, you know. We'd still be sitting in a garage somewhere. So, yeah, I'm very appreciative of our fans. And thank you.
We're gonna leave you with a little number now on the banjo, just to play out some of the new project we have going on. Dirt, what do you want to kick it now with, banjo style? What are you thinking?
Slacker Jesus.
Okay, this is gonna be banjo style Slacker Jesus. We'll catch everybody on the flip side in episode 27. This is Slacker Jesus by Society 2. There's the two of us, Dirt and I, on the banjo. You ready? Here we go. Jesus, you have to please us. Welcome, Lord, Slacker Jesus. You just can't tease us. You have to please us. Welcome, Lord, Slacker Jesus. Come on, the best part, dude. Domination of the earth.
All right.
We're gonna kick it right now. You ready?
When there's nobody in the dead, you will rise and feed the unfed. To relieve us while spreading your light, we will find truth one more time. Time destroys, leaving the hole tonight. Feel the pressure and the pressure is gone. The fate of revolution is another facade. It's an revolution, but I know you can't see. The bullets on a roof of time are swinging disease. I will believe.
This video is all in fucking Matt's head, and I had fucking slightest clue. I'm just now starting to figure out what I was looking like.